Thank you everyone for being here. Thank you for coming so early in the morning. Thank you, Governor Malloy, for being diligent, for your commitment and your steadfast determination, but also for displaying real compassion that our state has needed during critical times. Thank you, Senator Blumenthal, for being here, and the other members of the delegation. Addressing gun violence is not a new issue. And as mayors, we've been on the front lines of this issue for a very long time. Since it has become a front issue because of an unspeakably horrible event, you have shown exemplary leadership. And we're here today with our colleagues to do the same. Quite simply, it is time. I want to thank Mayor Bloomberg and Mayor Menino for adding another voice to the conversation. For so long, we in Congress only heard from the gun advocates. I also want to extend my heartfelt gratitude to anyone here today that has lost a sibling, a child, a friend, a parent, anyone to gun violence. It is sad, it is awful, and it is senseless. You are courageous for continuing to move on. I want you to know that I stand here along with you and other elected officials to do everything that we can to prevent anyone else from suffering the same loss. You have my word on that. For me, it is personal. I know we can also have members of school, we have members here of school security and our command staff. Thank you for keeping us safe. And let me reiterate what I've said before, and I know what the governor has been clear on. More guns, especially in our schools, is not the answer. It is not a solution. We can do better than that. Let's start about taking actions on the things that we do agree on. Since becoming mayor, I have made my position against gun violence crystal clear. With the governor's help, we re-established the Shooting Task Force, now a nationwide model to reduce violent crime. We have strengthened the gun buyback program in partnership with our 3 hospitals. We have written a letter to Congress, and we have been outspoken about my emotional investment in preventing gun violence. I myself lost my father to gun violence at age 1, and I have never had the opportunity to know him. I've lost dear friends and loved ones. It is not something that you forget or anything that you wish that anyone ever has to go through. We have begun to heal from the horrible tragedy that befell our state and our nation, and my sincere hope is the time does not diminish this critical discussion. There are decisions that we can and must make now, and the dialogue has gone on for far too long. As mayor of the capital city, I can assure you that I will work every day to keep our city safe, to work with our congressional delegation and with other mayors, with the governor and other stakeholders to take immediate action that is necessary. The reason that we are here today and the reason that we have asked you to join us is to send a message to Congress. Our state legislature will take action soon. They're being deliberate in determining what action needs to be done, but there is no doubt that gun reform will happen in the state of Connecticut. But even when it does, we can only go so far. When you examine all the factors that contribute to violence in our city, they tell a story that is sobering, upsetting, and reflective of a serious societal problem that we as a municipality are not capable of solving alone. Change must happen at the federal level. The fact is that most gun crimes in Hartford occur with illegal weapons brought in from out of state. The bottom line is that we do not live in a vacuum. What occurs in neighboring towns and states affect us. So let us be clear. We're going to do everything that we can here at the local level to keep our residents safe and our visitors safe. But in less than 2 weeks, there will be a bill before the Senate that can make a difference whether another life is lost because of an illegal weapon. Included in that bill is something that 92% of the people in this country believe in, and that is universal background checks. This has nothing to do with the Second Amendment, of which I am a supporter. This is about what Americans believe is the right thing to do. The same Americans that voted for this Congress, the President, the Vice President, and our Connecticut delegation. Our governor, 700 mayors across the country, and more than 90% of our country has spoken up. It's time to move on. It's time for our leaders to do what they were put there to do, to respond, to take a vote, to do the right thing, to keep our cities and our towns safe. Starting today, Mayors Against Illegal Guns will begin broadcasting ads specifically about Newtown. I have not seen them, but I've read the transcript. They are sobering and will remind you of what is truly at stake if Congress does not move. We cannot afford to do nothing. We cannot afford to continue to lose innocent people to an issue. We have the power to change that. It is worthy of us as leaders, and it is worthy of the innocent lives that were lost in Sandy Hook. Enough. The time is now. With that, I want to welcome our governor, the Honorable Governor Dannel Malloy.
Mayor, thank you very much. Thank you for your leadership on this issue. I appear before you as someone who has worked on the gun control issue for a long period of time. In fact, we now have 900 mayors that have joined the coalition, and that number is growing every day. I was the 5th mayor to join the coalition when the coalition was originally announced by my friends Mayor Bloomberg and Menino. This is a movement that's taken on and taken hold of the country and is represented, as I've said, by mayors all across the country. I want to thank the Episcopal Bishop for being with us and his leadership on this issue and others. It's been a great pleasure to work with him over the years. I also want to say to you that this is the time. We need to get our job done in the state of Connecticut. We need to do it sooner rather than later. We need a comprehensive approach, one that I believe I have properly laid out and has been pending for over a month at this point. We need, of course, universal background checks. We need to close the loopholes with respect to the sale of these very destructive assault weapons. That's what they are. When you can kill 26 people in a matter of moments, expending over 150 bullets in that period of time, that is an assault weapon, and it should not be sold in the state of Connecticut. And when you can attach to that magazines of 30 bullets or more, they should not be sold in the state of Connecticut, and for that matter, they should not be possessed in the state of Connecticut, and we should do something about it. We should also feel an urgency about sending our congressional delegation back to Washington with the tools necessary to give personal testimony to the strength of this movement. And that's why we need to get it done in the state of Connecticut sooner rather than later. The people of Newtown have waited too long. The people of Connecticut have waited too long. The people of this nation have waited too long. We've seen thousands of deaths since Newtown as a result of gun violence. We will see 55,000 people injured by gun violence this year. We will see 30,000 people die as a result of guns this year. Enough is enough, as the mayor has said, and we need to get the job done, and it needs to begin here in Connecticut in a matter of days, not months. Let's get the job done. Thank you very much.
I want to have our Chief of Police, Chief Ravella, make some statements.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and good morning, everyone. It was pointed out to me the weather today, and I said, it's perfect weather to talk about this subject. It's dark, it's rainy, it's cold, and that's the subject we're talking about. And I speak to you as a chief of police for the capital city, and I speak to you as a parent. And if you haven't heard, some parents are now preparing to bury their children, bury their brothers. And it's not a pleasant thing for these families to do. And the legislature, God forbid, but I want you to think about walking in their shoes, walking in their footsteps. Because when you vote the right things, because you're voting for our children, you're voting for our parents, you're voting for the constituents in this fine state and around the country. And I don't want to speak to you too long, but I want to leave you with a very sobering statement. And I happened to have in January, I went to a training conference, and it was in Israel. And when you talk about security, You talk about security in Israel, and we talked about Sandy Hook. We talked about violence in our cities. And a commander stood up very boldly, and he said, when your rivers run red, you'll understand what you have to do. So from your cities and from Sandy Hook, I think they understand what they have to do. Thank you very much, and enjoy the day, enjoy our city.
I want to introduce our senior senator from Connecticut now, Senator Blumenthal.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Mayor Zagara, for your leadership on this issue. Thank you to the governor for his steadfast and courageous leadership nationally, and to our chief, and let me say to all of the police of the city of Hartford, thank you for being out there day in and day out. I know from decades in law enforcement what you and the police of the state of Connecticut have done to help protect our citizens, but you can't do it alone. Our borders are porous. Illegal trafficking in guns knows no respect for state boundaries. And that's why we need a national law. We need a ban on illegal trafficking and straw purchases so that the streets of Hartford are protected from guns coming from all over the country that kill our children. We need a requirement for a national criminal background check so that all sales, private sales as well as licensed dealer sales, are covered by this law. And we need measures on school safety. I've been going around the state this week and I've seen what our schools are doing, and Connecticut again is at the forefront of protecting our students with better locks, alarms, lighting, monitoring, and training. But Connecticut needs help as well. And I will be supporting and spearheading this month, when that bill reaches the floor of the Senate, a ban on assault weapons and high-capacity magazines. I will be offering the amendment on high-capacity magazines and helping to lead that effort along with my colleague, Chris Murphy. But I need your help. I need your help because I need to take to Washington a model for what the nation should do. Connecticut can help lead the nation in these next weeks, in this crucial month, if it gives the nation a model for what we need to protect our children and citizens against the spreading scourge of gun violence. 20 beautiful children and 6 great educators have become a call to action for the nation. We need to keep faith with them. We need to make sure that Newtown and the Connecticut effect don't diminish, don't go away, are not lost on the nation. And to all of you, thank you for being here today and reminding us what is our mission, what has to be accomplished in these next days. Because we know the majority of Americans, the overwhelming majority of Americans are on our side, but they have been the silent majority. Organizing today, every day, between now and the vote in the Senate. That's our mission. We need to duplicate and replicate what's been done here today, all across Connecticut, all across the nation, so that our opponents, and they will be staunch and steadfast, the NRA is not going away, takes this lesson. We need to do something about gun violence. That's what I've been told day after day, person after person, by everyone in Connecticut and across the country. Let us act against gun violence. Let's seize this moment and make it happen. Thank you.
At this time, we'll take any press calls, any press questions, any media questions.
Sure.
It's not the first time that the senator has called for Connecticut to take action so that he can say in the Senate, we've done it in Connecticut.
You know, listen, I think we should have done this already. I was moved over a month ago to present a package. I know that there's a desire to do this on a bipartisan basis. I think we should get it right. It would be nice to do it on a bipartisan basis, but what's most important is that we get a bill passed sooner now. I think there is, our delegation is saying that there's an argument to be had about Connecticut's participation in the national debate, so let's get it done.
Does the release of these documents today, the search warrants in Newtown, affect the debate at all in Hartford?
I will talk in larger terms about all the information released a little later today. However, we know that in a span of about 5 minutes, an individual shot his way into a school, shot over 152 rounds, used 30-round magazines quite extensively, and in support of an assault weapon quite effectively, in killing 20 children and 6 adults. I think we know enough to know that assault weapons should be banned, the future sale of assault weapons, and I think we know enough to make a judgment that 30-round magazines that were banned prior to 2004 need to be banned again in our state. It's as simple as that.
You know, I think that what we learned today will be national news. We know enough right now, even before the release of this information, to say we need strong measures to reduce gun violence. But the more we know, the more compelling the argument at the national level that we must act now, because the gripping, graphic facts about what was done at Newtown have seized the nation's attention, and hopefully the nation will seize this opportunity for action. I don't know how many people heard the question, Enfield's action, voting to put armed guards in schools. You know, I think each community has to make decisions about the best ways to protect its schools and children. And I have written a bill, it's called Secure Our Schools, that provides support for what schools do in decisions they make. Manchester is using swipe cards. Other schools are using different kinds of locks and lights and monitoring. Every community has to decide whether it wants to use school resource officers, armed guards, unarmed guards. That's a decision for localities to make, but certainly the enhanced security, the heightened awareness, and very importantly, training are something common to all schools that I've seen in Connecticut. And I would encourage it. The bill that I've spearheaded provides the financial support that schools and local districts need.
For the governor, the grandfathering of the magazine seems to be one of the holdups. What is the latest on that as far as the grandfathering?
You know, listen, I think you need to talk to people in the legislature. You know, I know the Republicans have caucused on this issue. You know, I'm not in the, you know, I'm not in the room negotiating this package. I did lay out a package. I stand by the package I laid out. I think it's the right package for the state of Connecticut. It's a soups to nuts approach on a common sense basis. Listen, if you have guns, you should be locked. We shouldn't have 30-round magazines. We shouldn't sell additional assault weapons in this state. We should have universal background checks. You know, all of that stuff is pretty easy. And I'm expressing frustration. We got to get the job done. I think we had this silliness about having to wait till this release of information. The release of this information shows that we should move forward and do the things that we've been talking about doing for 3 months. Let's get it done.
Thank you, everyone, for being here. And yes, sir.
but we got 2 young men just killed on Monday. I ain't heard you make a comment about that. Please say something to come to the situation. You're going to visit this evening
Yes.
at 5:30
I
on Clark Street.
as mayor, I've expressed that my heart, my sympathies go to the victims and to the families. It is a matter that is still under investigation, and as is the practice of my office, is not to comment in order not to jeopardize those investigations. But I will be at the rally, and I will be supporting the families. Thank you.